Hi, everybody. Welcome back to TheNonProphets. This show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin, Texas. I'm host, Jeff D. My co-host is Vic Farrow. And sitting in again for Mary McMahon is our producer, Russell Glasser.
Hello.
And as our special guest today, we have my good friend, Denis Loubet.
Hi.
Some of you out there who participate in the Alt-Atheism news group may have read some of Denis's posts. He is a prolific defender of rationality on that particular news group, and we're happy to have him here today. Oh, yeah.
That almost sounds dirty. Sorry.
And there's a lot to answer for.
Today's opening music was Turn Around by Devo. Everybody turn around and take a good, hard look at who you are and where you're at and what's going on, because it's about time we start doing that. We're live May 25, 2002. The Atheist Community of Austin is a nonprofit education organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings Sunday mornings at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop at 307 West 5th Street here in Austin, Texas at 10:30 a.m., except for the first Sunday of each month. We have our lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of Furr's Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. Our next lecture will be on June 2. The speaker is an as-yet unidentified UT English professor. What, Russell?
Give it to me.
I'm getting mysterious signals from the producer about the headphones.
We know that Jeff doesn't read hand signals very well.
Where was I? If you shop at the Randall's Food Store chain, you can give them our nonprofit organization number, 5158, and 1% of your purchases will be donated to the Atheist Community of Austin. The Godless Gamers meet Monday nights at 7 p.m. at my place. ACA Happy Hour is at Antonio's near Highway 35 and 183 in Austin, Texas, Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. For more information, you can call our voicemail at area code 512-371-2911 or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org. And I want to extend a welcome to all the folk in the chat room. There was already a discussion going on in there when we got ready to start the show, so maybe we've got some listeners that are not usually there in the chat room. Welcome on board, folks.
I don't know if they're listening or if they're just holding.
I'm going to welcome anyway, because they'll get involved in the discussions. Okay, and if you want to get involved in that chat room during our live broadcast, what you do is on Saturdays from 2 to 3:30 Central Time, go to atheistnetwork.com and click on the chat link, and that way you can talk with other folks that are listening to the show. Okay. Upcoming ACA activities. Today we got a group going out to Sister Creek, which is here in Texas. It's the area that was founded by the German freethinkers. They're going to go to a winery and taste wine and be instructed on how wine is made and stuff. And then they're going geocaching, which is also extremely cool, with a GPS unit finding a little hidden treasure trove out there.
Wow, it'll just be 2 more weeks before Ginny can actually drink wine again.
Oh, yeah. How's that all going? Is she close to popping?
Yes, she is. It could be any day now.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
On May 31st, the Central Texas Civil Liberties Union Public Forum in Austin, Texas, will be speaking on the topic of Texas textbook selection. Textbook selection in Texas is often influenced by the well-organized religious right. The speaker will be Ashley McIlvaine, probably McIlvaine, Communications Director of the Texas Freedom Network, held at the Marymount Cafeteria on 38th Street, 1 block west of Guadalupe in Austin. Mingling begins at 5. Program begins at 5:30. That's May 31. June 2, the ACA will have a booth at the Gay Pride Festival at Fiesta Gardens. We did that last year also, and had a very effective outreach to a segment of our community that is heavily attacked by religion. On June 8th, the Freethinkers Association of Central Texas, that's down in San Antonio, is holding a cookout, and ACA members have been invited to attend that. Please contact our co-chair, Michelle Gadouche, if you want to attend that, and she'll give you directions. On June 15, U.S. Catholic Bishops meeting protest scheduled by Metroplex Atheists up in Dallas, and again, ACA members are welcome to attend, and contact Michelle if you want to go. The Fourth World Skeptics Conference will be on June 20 to 23 in Burbank, California. There's more info at www.csicop.org/events/conference-2002. You can collect past episodes of The Non-Prophets and audio version of our sister show, The Atheist Experience, which airs only on public access television in Austin, Texas, in convenient CD format. The CD contains a full month's worth of audio from both shows in time and MP3. We got January, February, March, and April CDs already. The CDs are $5 each. Contact atheist@mac.com for info. And now let's go to news, starting with Victor.
Oh, I was
What you
going
got,
to play
Rick?
it first, but I think I'm going to hold off on that one for a minute.
What?
What we were talking about earlier with the music and everything.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, in St. Paul, Minnesota, Governor Jesse Ventura has vetoed a bill Wednesday that would have required Minnesota public school students to recite the Pledge of Allegiance at least once a week. Ventura had hinted that he would veto the bill, saying that he has seized no lack in patriotism in the United States, particularly since September 11th. Patriotism is voluntary, Ventura said in his veto message. It is a feeling of loyalty and allegiance that is the result of knowledge and belief. Law can make a citizen a patriot. The measure easily passed both the House and the Senate, but the legislature has adjourned and cannot override Ventura unless he convenes a special session for some other purpose, which appears unlikely. The bill would have directed schools, districts to inform students of their right not to participate. School board had the power to opt out via annual votes. So what would have been the point if you can...
Well, they've done it anyway.
What it is,
right?
this is
just because they have given the right to opt out doesn't mean that they would have, because if they had, then this would have had to be fought in each and every district.
Yeah, well,
that's what they're trying to do.
You remember that they added a little passage to the Pledge of Allegiance called Under God.
Uh-huh.
And they did that because they figured none of those atheist reds would ever be going to say under God for any reason.
Uh-huh.
And this... having this ability to opt out, you don't have to participate, you have the right not to participate, is a way of identifying those people who aren't quite patriotic enough.
Right. It was a way, adding those words was a way to forge a link between godlessness and communism,
right,
so that anybody who wouldn't take the pledge,
right, was
because of the under God line,
right,
they could call him a communist.
Here you have the ability to opt out or not participate, which identifies you right away as not quite patriotic enough.
That's right.
You're not one of us good
You
Christian
can opt out.
Americans.
Just ask for one of the special armbands.
Yeah. So, Ventura, way to go. This seems like the only governor we have in the entire country.
Why doesn't he move down here to Texas?
I know, man. I'll vote for him. When he gets through being governor of Minnesota, he can be governor of Texas.
He's going to be through being governor of Minnesota pretty soon.
Yeah. Truth is stranger than fiction. I would never believe that a wrestler could have made a really great governor.
Right?
Best governor I know of.
Amazing.
Wow.
So, wow. In Tacoma, Washington, on the other side of the fence here, a coalition of Tacoma churches is lending its support to an initiative to overturn the city's recently passed law banning discrimination against gays, lesbians, and other sexual minorities. The Reverend C.S. Price, president of Tacoma Ministerial Alliance, said he and others would start gathering signatures on petitions to remove sexual orientation and gender identity from the city's anti-discrimination law. Well, guess what, buddy? It's in the federal civil rights law, so that kind of trumps you anyway. The Alliance sent a letter opposing to the change prior to the council's 8-1 vote to approve the amended law on April 23rd. The initiative requires more than 4,000 signatures, and the Alliance itself includes 38 area congregations representing thousands of members. I think they'll have a hard time getting 4,000 signatures.
Right.
Members of the Church Alliance at a meeting Tuesday said they oppose protections for gays, lesbians, and sexual minorities on the basis that homosexuality is immoral and a sin against God.
Now this brings up a really interesting issue. Remember, recently we cited a story about a case in California where the local Catholic-run hospital fired a fundamentalist for going around preaching during work hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was upheld by the state Supreme Court of California, that religious organizations have the right to hire and fire on the basis of belief.
Right.
So now we're getting into a gray area. Do religious organizations have a right to hire and fire on the basis of issues that are peripheral but related to belief, or can define them as related to belief?
So would they be able?
That's really interesting.
Would they be able to fire a homosexual? How they find
Because they're homosexual. Even if that person says, "Look, I believe in God exactly the way you do."
Yeah.
Right.
And I wouldn't know. They didn't actually that one the case.
There was another news story that I didn't bring in today, which is a woman who is suing the Catholic Church for not letting her be a priest. Did you see that one?
I saw a headline.
Which is exactly the same kind of thing, right? She's saying, "Look, you're discriminating against me on the basis of gender, which has nothing to do with belief."
Right.
That's very interesting. I mean, a lot of these litigation that's going on about religion right now is cut and dried, right? The Ten Commandment monuments are coming down, right?
Yeah.
For example, right? The priests that molest kids are going to prison.
Right.
All that is pretty clear. It's what really interests me are these gray areas where there's still things to be decided. That's where we all need to be paying a lot of attention, because that's what could still go either way.
The Ten Commandments and some of these priests going to jail is basically a crack in the door. It's just barely opened the door of this whole big world. Because there's another story about the Jehovah's Witnesses having big cover-ups for their sexual abuses.
Yeah.
And in the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's a closed society. If you do something that they don't like, they simply shun you. And in a Jehovah's Witness, you're... I know that's because I read a story about it this morning. It's a closed society. You're discouraged from having friendships outside of the church. So when they shun you, you don't have all your friends. You're on a world all your own. You're told that the rest of the world is in this heathen orgy, and you don't want to be part of it.
Right. Well, let's hold off on the Jehovah's Witness stuff until we get to
Yeah. Okay.
the week in pedophilia.
Which week in pedophilia? Jeez, we've opened up the thing for the entire year. That's all we hear about anymore. Is some priest doing something with some kid.
We're here as a news service, so we'll cover this week's stories.
Free thinking. What was the religion that was the shun?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Free thinking Jehovah's Witnesses should make atheist friends, because atheist friends will not shun them.
There you go. Okay.
We're friendly guys.
We reported on a story about a Ten Commandments monument in Fredericks Park, and I forgot where that was at. But advocates are lining up on both sides of the Fredericks Ten Commandments with controversy, with the American Center for Law and Justice offering up the city's legal defense to keep the religious monument in a public park.
Did we do the story last week about there was like a place where the ACLU was after the Ten Commandments monument, and so a local group formed saying, we're going to raise money so that you can battle the ACLU, right? They were going to pay the city's legal bills, and then the city lost, and the local group reneged. They said, we don't like the lawyer that you hired. It's like, if you don't like the lawyer they hired, you tell them when they hire him or when they say they're going to hire him.
Right.
Look, if you do this, you're not going to get the money. You don't wait for them to hire a lawyer you don't like and lose the case and then say, well, now we're not going to give you the money.
Whining. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
I
don't think we covered that.
ACLJ is a non-profit organization founded by Pat Robertson.
Oh, boy.
And is willing to take up the legal battle and all the way to the Supreme Court. On the other side of the dispute, the American Civil Liberties Union is contemplating a lawsuit if the city refuses to take the Ten Commandments off public property, either by relinquishing ownership of the park or removing the monument. The Ten Commandments dispute erupted after Blake Trenton, an 18-year-old Urbana High School senior, wrote a letter to City Hall challenging the constitutionality of the monument. He noted that the federal courts had ruled that similar monuments on public property violated the First Amendment prohibition.
Yeah, they're coming down.
And this is an 18-year-old kid.
They're all coming down.
Stirred up this big thing which has got Pat Robertson and the ACLU involved. So there's a big battle.
They can burn their money.
I saw somewhere that there are like 4,000 of these monuments.
The whole thing was, I read a story that said that there was a judge who had this got started as a judge. Had a kid, and he asked him, don't you know the law? And he said, never heard of it.
Not a kid of
He was a kid of court.
Right.
Don't you know anything about the law? And the kid said no. And he thought it would be a good idea to post the Ten Commandments so all these kids would have something to refer. You could point to their mind and say, well, there it is, boy.
Right.
And the kid's sentence was to go and learn the Ten Commandments and live by them.
Right, and this judge started the Fraternal Order of Eagles, or
right.
FO, as we like to call it.
And that's the ones who got together with the DeMille.
Cecil B. DeMille.
And on his campaign to promote his new movie, The Ten Commandments, which is a remake in the 1920s.
Right.
So
yeah, those Ten Commandments ones are historical. You know how far they go back? 1950s.
Yes.
I think that we need to get producer ready for the music that you need.
Yeah, because the story now is the Jehovah's Witnesses one. You want to do that in first, so I'm going to come after.
No, do it now.
Oh, well, there's the music. So here goes. A group of church leaders has invited the nation's denominations and congregations to work towards a national alliance for the first time to unite all sectors of U.S. Christianity. The new entity, tentatively called Christian Churches Together in the USA, has been under private discussion for 2 years. In terms of the doctrine, the invitation defines potential members as those who confess Jesus as Christ and God and Savior, according to the Scriptures, to the glory of one God, Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit.
All right, there we go.
That's joke enough.
Yeah.
The formation of the empire has begun.
Boy, we needed a special guest, James Jones, to do that.
I don't know a lot.
That's right.
It's scary enough, the influence that religion has in the United States, but if they were to band together into one monolithic, single religious entity, we'd all be in deep blue.
They would find our lack of faith disturbing.
It would be a disturbance in the faith.
All right, what else you got, Vic?
Hey, well, in writer news, Scotland is now a pagan country.
I heard that.
Over 12%.
Awesome.
Yeah, only 12% of Scots regularly attend worship in the Church of Scotland, and more than 60% rarely or never go to church at all. As many people say they belong to no religion at all as claim to be in the Church of Scotland. Sociologist Professor Stephen Bruce and Tony Glidden from Aberdeen University warned that without Presbyterians to fill them, Presbyterian churches are just tractor sheds and carpet warehouses in waiting. The survey published in the latest issue of Kirk magazine, Life and Work, found 37% of Scots identify themselves as Church of Scotland, 14% Roman Catholic, 11% other Christian, 1% non-Christian, and 37% no religion. So the researchers say the findings contrast with the situation 30 years ago when almost everyone claimed a religious identity. Half of those who say they are a Church of Scotland go to church less than once a year, while only a third say they go to church at least once a month. The researchers say only 12% of Scots claim to regularly attend national church, and given the tendency of surveys respondents to exaggerate for the positive, the real attendance is almost certainly lower. Scotland as a whole is becoming more polarized as the proportion who rarely or never attend church steadily increases. In 1972, it was 43%. In 1982, it was 50%. And now it's just over 60%. Put bluntly, most Scots have no connection with churches. The researchers argue if the presence looks gray, okay, spit it out, Vic. The future seems thoroughly bleak because
I don't know. It depends on your perspective.
Some age-goers are elderly, and they say no comfort can be found in the theory that people have lost faith in the church as an institution rather than just lost faith altogether. Researchers conclude that there is now massive indifference to organized religion and an unwillingness to have it impinge upon their lives. Surprisingly, more than half the sample said that they favored public prayers in the schools and were happy for churches to speak out on current policy, though not personal morality. It seems the Scots are quite happy to have church leaders badger the government about policy matters, but do not want to be told how they themselves should behave. Fewer than a third say they should speak out on sexual behaviors or abortion history. Abortion or history.
Interesting.
Wow.
One small
Now-
step for atheism.
Remind me here. Is Scotland at war with anyone right now?
No. Scotland just recently got married.
Are Scottish terrorists really famous around the world?
No.
Doing stuff? No. You know, that's really...
Jive
I'm not going to draw any parallel or anything. No.
Terrorism thing.
No.
No, it seems the only thing you really need to be a terrorist is a good church.
We need those space aliens from Monty Python to come and turn us all into Scotsmen.
There you go. I'll happily join.
Oh my!
I'm not wearing one of the skirts though. Russell,
I wear it.
I will.
I don't care.
Yes.
you want to go next, or I know you're awfully busy interacting with all the folks in the chat room there.
let me see.
I hate to tear you away, but
I only have a little bit of stuff.
okay.
Let's
Chat
see.
room have to live without you for a few minutes.
Okay. Some kind of really juicy Bible quote just got posted by Charles, but I'm not sure what it is. You want
All right.
to take a look at it?
Nope.
All right. Let's see. Faith-based funding bill in Finance Committee as Bush Memorial Day deadline nears. Compromised legislation that would provide tax deductions and indirect grants to benefit faith-based social programs remains quietly in the Senate Finance Committee, despite pleas by President Bush that the measure be moved for a full floor vote prior to the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Wait, that's this
No, it's
weekend.
This weekend.
That's this weekend. So therefore, it didn't happen, right?
Guess not.
It quietly sat there and at least failed to hit his deadline.
Phew, what a
We'll have to
relief.
start.
But anyway, according to the provisions of this bill,
Don't we have another dedeadline about 3 years from now?
I don't know. What's that?
The end of his presidency.
Re-election.
Oh,
Yeah. There's another deadline next year
I
when,
thought you were making another end of the world prediction.
when the control of the House comes into question.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's what it does. It amends the IRS code to encourage charitable giving through a system of tax deductions. Don't we already do that by not taxing the damn churches?
Right.
Right.
Including donations coming from personal IRA accounts.
Well, wait a
Bill
minute.
also-
Wait a minute. No, that has to do with not taxing the people who gave the money,
Oh, yeah.
right? But aren't charitable donations already tax deductible?
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
I thought
yeah,
they were.
like all.
The tax code is real elaborate, so some stuff you can get away with, some stuff you can't. But
So you're right.
I think
but
they're
let's be
amending-
precise here about what we're talking about.
I would have thought donations to a charitable organization such as a church would have been tax deductible already.
Okay, here's one we're going to love. It provides funding and resources for an aggressive outreach to churches.
Oh, painful
You can play
proselytizing.
that music again.
Yeah.
And other faith-based and community groups for training in grant writing, legal assistance, program development, and administration management. Oh, I get it. So not only are we going to spend tax money to these churches get their donations tax-free, but we're also going to hire lawyers and stuff to help them write the proposal for grants that they want.
Absolutely.
And it amends the provision of the Social Security Act to give states wider latitude in administering funding programs, including the use of money from the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families initiative. The measure will also direct billions of dollars in federal funds to be distributed to states and downward to community granting agencies through the Community Development Block Grants.
It sounds like Bush doesn't just want to give federal money to churches. He wants to force it down their throats.
Yeah, whether they want it or not.
Right. I mean, it could be that he really is an atheist just to destroy churches, because in Europe, all the places that have state churches, right, those
Have
churches
no attendance.
those churches have no attendance. That's like the death knell of religion. I still don't want to give them the money. I'd rather they reach that death knell some other way. Nobody freaking cares anymore.
Right.
That would be a better way to do it. It shouldn't, cost money out of my pocket to kill religion. But still, don't these people pay any attention to what's going on in the world?
I don't know. Somebody's asking if any of us listened to Debate with Kent Hovind.
Not if I can help it.
Did that? Was that a show? It was Kent Hovind and
that
No,
one.
I haven't listened to that one yet.
No, but I am too.
Yeah.
Ken Hovind's acumen was thrilling, says Justin.
I do want to mention that we were having a lot of trouble here in Austin getting to the Atheist Network site for like a month or so.
Right.
It was impossible to reach the site and therefore listen to any of the other shows. And that's just cleared up. So I have been gleefully going through and catching up on the backlog of shows that I missed. And there's some really good stuff out there, man. All those other shows are really, really solid.
And in 2 weeks, I'm supposed to have high-speed internet, cable modem. I'm tickled pink. Then I'll be able to actually do stuff like listen to these shows.
I especially like the Truax show.
Really?
Just to mention that. Yeah, he was saying his previous one wasn't that good, but the episode that he had up when I just listened was quite excellent.
Yeah.
And I've always liked the Monkees.
Okay.
So there's my commercial.
Listen to that recap.
There you go.
All right. Most people probably know by now, Stephen Jay Gould died on, what day was it?
Oh, that was just...
Wednesday?
I have that.
Okay.
He died on the 20th.
Most people are more informed than me.
What was the 20th?
The 20th was, I don't know.
Whatever, because that's when he died.
It was a day. It looks like Monday, actually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He had cancer for a while, and
he had been. This is something I found out that was new and interesting. He had been fighting cancer for about 20 years. Or 20 years ago, he had his first brush with cancer.
Wow.
And it was a very nasty one that normally kills people outright, and he survived that.
yes, it's a miracle.
So when we factor in that he was the non-overlapping magisteria guy who seemed to think there was still some point of religion.
No, he didn't think there was a point to religion. I think his deal was he just didn't want to step on their toes.
Well,
Yeah, he was awful nice to them.
He was an agnostic, as far as I remember.
all right. Go on with your story.
Before I go on, I'd just like to ask one question, which is, how long is it going to be before creationist sites start posting the story of how Stephen Jay Gould recanted it on his deathbed?
Deathbed confessions of Stephen
Clock
Jay
is
Gould.
ticking.
Yeah, we should make predictions for that. We take bets on it. We could have like
No, we don't do
we could have like a little chart.
We don't take predictions. We don't do predictions here.
Yeah,
That's true, because we are the non-prophets.
That's right.
Anyway, I pulled a nice little obituary on him from the New York Times, and I haven't really read through much of it, but real quick, Stephen Jay Gould, the evolutionary theorist at Harvard University, whose research lectures and prolific outputs of essays helped to reinvigorate the field of paleontology, died today, Monday, at his home in Manhattan. He was 60. The cause was adenocarcinoma of the lung. How's that for reading?
Don't be laughing when you're reading the name of his cancer.
I'm sorry. That's highly inappropriate. According to his wife, Rhonda Roland Shearer, one of the most influential evolutionary biologists of the 20th century, and perhaps the best known since Charles Darwin, Dr. Gould touched off numerous debates, forcing scientists to rethink sometimes entrenched ideas about evolutionary patterns and processes. He is credited with bringing a forsaken paleontological perspective to the evolutionary mainstream. Dr. Gould achieved a fame unprecedented among modern evolutionary biologists. The closest thing to a household name in the field, he became part of mainstream iconography when he was depicted in cartoon form on The Simpsons. That was a good episode, by the way.
Right.
That was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just skip to the end of the article where it mentions he once wrote, "I love the wry motto of the Paleontological Society, meant both literally and figuratively. Hammers are the main tool of our trade. Frango ut paefaciam. I break in order to reveal."
Cool. Now, was there not a tribute to Gould on The Simpsons?
Yeah. At the end of a recent Simpsons episode, it must have been on Tuesday or Wednesday when they had when the episode ended, and before they ran the credits, there was a little still of Lisa with Stephen Jay Gould
From the old cartoon where he was on there.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
That was kind of charming.
Russell, have you got more for us, or should I move on here?
You can go ahead.
All right. In the news, a school official tells Gideons not to distribute Bibles to students. Wayne, Michigan. A school superintendent has told Gideons International to stop its annual practice of handing out Bibles to fifth graders. Two members of the Gideons, the Nashville, Tennessee-based group that places Bibles in hotel rooms, had planned to distribute them to students at the Pine Street School as they have done each spring since around 1990. But after a parent complained to the American Civil Liberties Union and the ACLU wrote a letter to the district, Gideons were notified by the Wayland Union Schools Superintendent Thomas Tarnutzer that the distribution was off. So that's it. Yeah. You know, there's all this crap going on, and it's all hideously illegal and unconstitutional, and it's just a matter of swatting down one by one. Mm-hmm. By the way, just here's a fun thing you can do if you travel a lot, like I do. Since we're on the subject of the Gideons, there's a fun game I made up called Hide the Bible. What you do is, when you go into your hotel room, you look around till you find the ubiquitous Gideon's Bible, and then you hide it someplace else in the room, right? A great place is you can put it behind the dresser. You can put it between the mattresses. You can put it, sometimes you pull out drawers and there's a little space in there where you can hide stuff, put them in there. And it's really fun going around the room finding places where you hide things. Well, they'll never find them, because the cool thing is they will think that you walked off with it, which is kind of the point, right? They want people to take the Bible with them. So they'll think they don't have one in that room anymore, and they'll get another one donated by the Gideons paid for by contributions to the Gideons, and waste money by putting another Bible in the same damn room. And eventually these things will start turning up, right? It'll be I imagine like a horror movie sequence where the cleaning woman is going around and she like pulls back the curtain in the shower, and there's a pile of Gideon's Bibles there, and she moves the television, and there's another Gideon's Bible there, and they're everywhere. And then they'll realize that there are just too many of these frickin' Bibles around.
Trevor suggests you don't need to do that. Just use it as toilet paper.
I think it's more fun my way.
Okay. There's some poor maintenance guy's going to end up having to come plunge that damn toilet. Don't do that.
I don't know who else is heard out there, but Bill Maher of Politically Incorrect has been fired. I don't know. It's unclear to me. I haven't gotten a straight answer one way or the other whether the Politically Incorrect show is going to stay on, because they've named Jimmy Kimmel as the guy that's going to take Bill Maher's place at that time slot. I don't know if he's going to be
the tall guy or the fat guy.
Fat guy.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. Whether Jimmy's making up his own new show for that time slot, or whether it's going to be Politically Incorrect with Jimmy Kimmel. He just doesn't seem like a real political guy to me. But maybe just because the Man Show doesn't come up much.
Every conversation towards breasts.
But I broke one of my cardinal rules last night in actually listening to the Larry King show on CNN, because Larry King is just sum up to various goofy supernatural beliefs and religious organizations. But Bill Maher was his guest last night and unloaded both balls into religion.
Oh,
it was great.
It was on awesome. CNN, right?
Yeah, there's a transcript on the CNN. That,
cool. I'll have to go find that.
Apparently, that's worth hunting down. Bush signs bill protecting tax breaks for ministers, priests, and rabbis, as if they weren't already tax-exempt organizations. Ministers, priests, and rabbis will keep their tax break for the cost of housing under a bill President Bush signed into law on Monday. The bill is H.R. 4156. The measure protects the parsonage exemption, a 1921 provision challenged in the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco. Legislation that would clarify the exemption and preempt that case easily passed both the House and Senate. So what happened is there was this law from 1921 that got shot down in the appeals court in San Francisco. They just made a new law and said, well, this new law is going to be in place now because the old one got nixed. Representative James Ramstad, Republican from Minnesota, said loss of the exemption would cost clergy members $2.3 billion over the next 5 years. Well, boo-hoo.
Too friggin' bad.
"We cannot allow this important tax provision to fall," Ramstad said at the time of the passage. Supporters said the exemption is particularly important in rural areas where churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples would be less able to compensate for its loss, making it harder to attract clergy. Again, boo-hoo. The exemption permits a clergy member to deduct from taxable income the portion of church earnings that are attributed to housing costs. Yeah. Why do we need our government to make a special exemption for them?
Gee, I don't make it for graphic artists too?
Yeah, right. Sure.
Why not?
Computer game designers.
Yeah. For maintenance guys.
Maintenance guys.
Yeah.
Russell, what do? You want a housing exemption?
Web development.
Yeah, there you go.
I would like one.
Yeah.
Web development is important to the everyday functioning of our nation.
That's right.
Why are we not
Absolutely.
exempting web developers? You'd think.
Yeah.
Especially important to the rural web design.
I know damn I'm more
And those rural priests who need to, be paying less money for their homes in which they molest small children.
I know how important it is, because if your air conditioning is down, your praying ain't gonna do shit for you.
Now, this was a story. I don't remember whether we did it on the audio show or whether this was one of the last things that I covered on our TV show before I moved over to this. But Bohemian Grove invader gets 11 years. This is from California, May 15. The self-styled commando who invaded the Bohemian Grove in January. Oh, that must have been this show then. We did this story before, because January is... I was just doing this. Self-styled commando invaded the Bohemian Grove in January, was sentenced Tuesday to almost 12 years in prison after a judge said he could have sparked a bloodbath. Quote, "You were ready to die, and you were ready to take a whole lot of people with you," Judge Elliot Lee Daum told Richard McCaslin, 37. McCaslin, an ex-Marine and failed movie stuntman from Texas, told authorities he decided to invade the exclusive men's retreat on the Russian River after watching a video of a purported human sacrifice at the Bohemian Grove. The video was made by Alex Jones, a Texas radio and TV talk show host who claims U.S. political and business leaders practice occult rituals at the Grove near Monte Rio. Now, this is where we Texans need to apologize for the rest of the nation for yet another frickin' lunatic retard swipe that we've inflicted on the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones is this nitwit who has his conspiracy theorist lunatic who has his own public access show, wildly popular public access show here in Austin, Texas. We actually get calls from him sometimes on our TV show. Yeah.
Always under fake names.
Yeah, always under fake names.
And it's absolutely ridiculous, but I had no idea his lunacy had escaped Austin, Texas, and gone out and threatened other people in the country. Well, now it has.
Thursday, I was in the studio with Don on his show, and Alex left a tape behind.
Uh-huh.
He has a new one now called September 11th is the Road to Tyranny.
Check this out. This guy, everybody remember the Branch Davidians?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. These were extremist right-wing Christians with a leader who claimed to be Jesus and was molesting small children. They were stockpiling weapons. Our government performed a bungled, badly managed, and tragic attack on their compound. Yeah. Right? But this conspiracy theorist gets hold of this Alex Jones, right? And was part of the effort that was made to rebuild the Branch Davidian compound. He was the instigator?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure how far his involvement went.
He milked that for publicity, and he was rebuilding
Why on earth?
The jackbooted thug Nazi police state we have here.
Right. Clearly, those of us who recognize the Branch Davidians as a bunch of frickin' lunatics have no use for a rebuilding of their compound. And every other Christian in the entire country ought to realize that when you got a child molester going around claiming he's Jesus, you still don't want his place rebuilt. But Alex Jones spearheaded that effort, and
I just want to mention that there's a bunch of people from all over the country who are saying they've heard Alex Jones. So
we're sorry. We're so sorry.
Oh, man.
It's, I don't know what it is about Texas that makes it a breeding ground for these right-wing conspiracy theorist nitwits.
Gigabytes.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's part of, look, what is it? Texas has got the most serial killers, too?
Yeah, we got everything's bigger and better in Texas.
Oh, boy.
Well, at least we know the computer game make people do crazy things.
Bigger whoppers, bigger body counts.
Bigger loonies.
Bigger egos.
It's not violent movies.
We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
Yeah, and now Alex is a completely different person when he's not on TV.
No, he's not.
Real mild-mannered.
No, he's not.
Now, I haven't, you turned the camera on?
I'm in the hall.
Really?
I met him in the hall.
I met him in the hallway, too, so.
Me too.
He didn't really get all rowdy when I was there, but he sure as hell turned his craziness up. The camera's pointing at him.
Yeah, all right. McCaslin admitted the images on the videotape were fuzzy, but told authorities he believes they show an infant being thrown into a fire. Why does he believe that about these fuzzy images? Well, because this retard, Alex Jones, told him that's what it meant.
Yeah.
He arrived at the Grove January 19, armed with an assault rifle, a handgun, a fireworks launcher, a sword, and 150 rounds of ammunition.
He thought he was a ninja.
He was wearing a bulletproof... No, he didn't think he was a ninja. He thought he was a superhero.
No, that's right.
McCaslin was wearing a bulletproof vest, a skull mask, and a commando-style uniform with the name Phantom Patriot sewn on. He snuck inside and stayed overnight, starting 2 small fires in empty buildings in the morning. McCaslin said he was looking for satanic cultists, but only found a caretaker and a security guard. They called sheriff deputies who confronted McCaslin as he was walking out of the Grove the next day. He hid behind a tree and refused to drop his weapons. Deputies and CHP officers eventually convinced him to put down his guns and give up. No shots were fired.
Well, let's see what
in other news,
can I get a minute out to read something from the clip, from a clip of the Larry King show last night?
Sure.
They were actually playing another clip of Bill Maher on an earlier show, showing his inflammatory personality off. He says, so when people say, why don't you run for office, or why did you get fired? Folks, let me sum it up for you. I think religion is bad and drugs are good. I think America causes cancer. Longevity is less important than fun, and young people should be discouraged from voting. I think stereotypes are true. Abstinence is a perversion. Bush's lies are worse than Clinton's. And there is nothing sexy about being old or pregnant. Well, I don't think you last one.
All right.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah. Hell, I'll vote for him. No, he made a big point in the interview with the King that only about 14% of the population generally agrees with what he says on the show. They've done focus groups. About 14%. It's about the same percentage of people who are unbelievers in the United States.
Yeah.
Right?
But not necessarily the same group.
Not necessarily the exact same one. But probably that there has been a lot of fallout since he said after September 11, look, say what you will about the guys who flew those airplanes into buildings, into the World Trade Center. They were not cowards. That was an insane but brave thing for them to do. We're cowards when we lob missiles at countries we don't like from 100 miles away.
Million.
So what?
Yeah. That people didn't take that very well. I understand what he was saying, but people are, right after September 11th, all this dang flag waving and all the, and we trust signs came out.
Bad timing.
Bad timing
for truth.
Yeah.
In other guns and religion news,
oh boy,
a man dressed as a Buddhist monk and wielding an AK-47 assault rifle was arrested after he took 30 hostages at a security checkpoint on the grounds of Thailand's Parliament building in Bangkok. The man, wearing his orange robes, fired one shot into the air after taking over checkpoint at about 8 a.m., demanding to see Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. No one was injured, and he never got into the Parliament chamber itself. A time later, the man, identified as Sayant and believed to be about 30 years old, was rushed by 6 plainclothes police officers as he spoke to the press. He was taken into custody, where he was charged with weapons violations. He told reporters he had been abused and tortured by police, but he did not say when or where. He said he was from the city of Chantaburi, about 225 kilometers east of Dhaka. So, just to remind folks who think that when one religion starts to look bad, the thing to do is immediately lead to another one that looks like, more sane.
Do they have phantom Buddhists?
Buddhists have their own crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, where are we at? I guess it's time to do a weekly religious pedophilia scandal update.
Oh,
Everybody ready? Because it's been a big week in pedophilia.
Yeah, boy.
Unsealed file on pedophile priest contradicts church statements. This is from Tennessee on the 19th. In July 1999, after months of public revelations about a priest who molested boys in Nashville and elsewhere in Tennessee, Bishop Edward U. Kamek issued a detailed explanation read at Mass throughout the mid-state about what the church knew and how it responded. He assured parishioners that the diocese had removed Edward McCune from direct or unsupervised contact with youth after an initial molestation complaint was lodged against him in 1986. The diocese knew of only 3 incidents involving McCune before removing him from the active priesthood in 1989, the bishop said.
Only 3, huh?
But a court document unsealed last week paints a much different picture with new information about the case that had never been made public. It shows that McCune, who is serving a 25-year prison sentence for raping a 12-year-old boy, was allowed to teach youth classes, hear children's confession, and participate in sleepovers with children, even after the diocese said he was being kept away from. It also shows that the church knew of more than 3 incidents involving McCune before he was dismissed. The document, a legal brief, was sealed by the State Court of Appeals in response to a request which the diocese opposed. So, not only did they actively conspire to facilitate this sexual abuse of children, they lied to their own parishioners about their conspiracy. That's for those of you who think that if your own religious group is caught doing something horrible, the thing is just wet out because eventually it'll blow over.
Right.
No, you're being actively lied to by your own frickin' churches. And this happens all the time. And I want to mention once again the conversation I had with my mom, who's a minister, when I confronted her with the fact that she agreed with the Jesus seminars. This is theologians who got together, analyzed the Bible, and pick out which bits of the New Testament might actually have been really said by Jesus instead of made up. And they're damn little that even they were willing to put a stamp of approval on. She agreed, and I said, do you tell your parishioners that? She said, no. I said, why do you think that why do you think it's a good idea to hide the truth from them? And she said, because they're not ready to hear that yet. These church guys are making decisions about what knowledge you're capable of handling. Time to be done with religion. Another church facing charges of sexual abuse. This is from Chase, Maryland, on the 21st. In a case similar to those troubling the Archdiocese of Baltimore, police have charged a former leader of Jehovah's Witnesses congregation in Chase with sexually abusing 3 women who say the congregation discouraged them from reporting the abuse and shunned them when they spoke about it.
Yep. That's special.
We talked about this whole shunning thing before because there was a case up in Canada where a girl who needed to have blood transfusions to deal with her leukemia, I think it was, right? Her father, who was a Jehovah's Witness, agreed to allow her to take the blood transfusions, even though their religion believes that if you get blood from somebody else, you're going straight to hell. And the family has shunned the father for saving the life of the daughter.
The shun is a big issue of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Is that
they're
a secret society. Okay. And you're discouraged from having friendships outside of the church.
Right.
So once they've got you lured in and they're all, about
them. That's all you got left.
then they can shun you when you do something that they don't like, and you all of a sudden live in this world with no friends.
He got you by your social balls.
Yeah, exactly. One of the women that was molested by the shoemaker, in this case you were talking about, said in an interview that when she and others reported the abuse in the mid-'80s, the church's all-male group of elders refused to believe them and banished them from the congregation. Never questioned whether or not it was true or not. They just said, "No, you're lying. Get out."
You can be shunned for saving the life of your children. You can be shunned for being a victim.
Right.
Wonderful.
You can be shunned for pissing off someone higher rank than you are.
This brings up an interesting kind of issue, Dennis. You are very active in the atheism news group.
Yeah.
And one of the questions you like to ask people, and I think that's sort of similar to what we're talking about here, is you ask Christians if you could go back in time and rescue Jesus, right, save him from that horrible suffering,
right,
would you do it?
Would you do it?
And what kind of answers do you get?
Well, oddly, from these Christians who are oh so pious and taking the high ground all the time, I get the answer: no.
They wouldn't save Jesus. They wouldn't their power to do so.
They wouldn't lift a finger to save the one person they claim to love the most.
I asked questions.
They'd let them suffer, and they'd let him suffer and die.
I asked the same question to people after I got it from you, and I always get the same answer too. No, you can't. You can't. That would ruin everything.
Now, me, an atheist, supposedly immoral as hell, I'd rescue the guy. Hell, I'd try and get the 3 other guys who were supposedly crucified with him. You bet I would. Yeah. How often do you get the chance to save someone's life? Wow, that would be great.
Yeah, well,
but no, I don't even claim I love the guy.
After arriving in the first century,
it's just the right to do.
After arriving in the first century with the machine and rescuing some people, I would just proceed to take over.
But see, there's the thing, and that's the analogy here, right? I mean, you can be shunned by the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses for doing something like save your daughter's life.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
If they don't approve of the manner in which you accomplished it.
Or telling people how you were horribly molested as a child.
Right. They can shun you for that.
Yes.
Amazing.
Secret societies.
See, that's the thing. You get an organization that is set up with around the claim that they have absolute truth. And then there's no limit on the rules that they are willing to make in order to preserve that absolute truth, right? Suddenly, allowing an innocent man to be horribly tortured and killed becomes okay.
Right.
Letting your daughter die of leukemia becomes okay. Keeping silent about sex abuse becomes okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And they accuse us of what is it? Situational ethics.
Right. I don't have situational ethics. They have absolute rules. Yeah. You're never allowed to do anything that goes against their absolute rules.
Just insane.
It is. It's crazy.
Priest pleads guilty to making date rape drug. Davenport, Iowa, May 22. A 31-year-old Roman Catholic priest pled guilty on Wednesday to conspiring with 5 other men to manufacture and distribute the illegal drug commonly known as the date rape drug. Reverend Jeffrey Windy of rural central Illinois admitted to the scheme to make gamma hydroxybutyrate, or GBH, which is called the date rape drug because it can incapacitate its user and is used in sexual assaults on unsuspecting victims.
Do you really need that for 12-year-olds?
Well, some of them scream.
Man. Sorry, that was over the top.
In the story, this guy was into it to make money. But he's not likely to say, yeah, I was making this so I would have a steady supply so I could molest people.
Right.
Even if that was the case. I don't know. I'm not making a charge here, but it's worth an investigation.
It's bad enough that someone who puts himself in a position of moral authority, it says that in order to make money, I'll do something that I know people are going to use, or I'll make something that I know people are going to use to do harm to other people.
But thank goodness we're going to support his housing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, because it was in his basement that some of this stuff was.
They're all going to get together in this.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, and in fact, his church.
If the government paying for his basis, is the government an accomplice?
Ooh.
Well, they're giving him a tax break. That's the same.
Sounds like
Does that support his activities when you give him a tax break?
It's close.
In fact, and not only that, he used his actual church as an address that some of the ingredients went to.
Cool.
He's actually having some of the stuff shipped. That's bottom.
Yeah, so not only is he evil, he's stupid. So,
Anyway.
Well, he believes in an invisible guy in the sky. That's already he's already guilty of the stupidity charge. Now, there's something else. There was a story that I saw on TV that I didn't see any details. It was one of those little ticker tape things along the bottom of the CNN screen, and I looked around on CNN. I couldn't find the story, but there was something on May 24th. I guess that was yesterday, right? That was when the story came out about a bishop in Kentucky who's gotten into trouble, and I don't know the details, but I'm dutifully adding it to this week's pedophilia update because it's news. Diocese reassigned Scottsdale priest despite warning. Also on May 24th, from Arizona, a Scottsdale priest with a history of sexual misconduct was allowed to continue ministering to women and children despite a warning from therapists that after 6 months of counseling, he still posed a risk to the church. Yeah, that's business. Pope accepts Milwaukee Archbishop's resignation. Now, we all heard this story, right? This they did cover a lot, even on CNN. Pope John Paul II has accepted the resignation of Rembert Weekland. This is so sad.
I love those names.
Rembert Weekland, in the midst of reports that the Milwaukee Archbishop sexually...
Charles Dickens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They accepted his resignation in the midst of reports that the Milwaukee Archbishop sexually assaulted former Marquette University grad student, the Vatican said in a statement Friday. The Vatican announcement came during the middle of the 82-year-old pontiff's 5-day trip to Azerbaijan and Bulgaria, where he is now. And it was just his birthday last week. Pontiff, happy birthday. Vatican spokesman Joaquin Navarro-Walls told reporters traveling with the Pope in Bulgaria that the pontiff had accepted the resignation on the grounds of Weekland's age. Oh. Not grounds that he sexually molested a guy, but because he's old. Okay, I guess we'll step down, because you're old.
yeah.
Right. If you were young, we'd watch him there
Yeah, but we can cover this up better.
your stuff.
This is like, remember the story I read last week? Where the guy, a bishop or cardinal or some fucking idiot was asked in court, about a priest who was accused of... What did he do? Being a child's penis.
Oh,
right?
What?
Whether report of that the guy had bit a child's penis would be considered grounds to start an investigation.
That was enough evidence.
Whether that was and the guy said, "I'd have to know more details." What more details do you need? What more details does anybody on the planet need? The Catholic Church is a hotbed of pedophilia and of support and facilitation of pedophilia, and it ought to be put out of business. What else does anybody need to hear?
It's a criminal organization.
Yeah, they'll accept this guy's resignation because he's old.
Mm-hmm.
I've never abused anyone, Weekland said. All right, I'm sorry, cheap shot. Because homosexuality has nothing to do with it. Pedophilia.
Right.
Weekland said in a statement read by an archdiocese spokesman. The statement went on to acknowledge that Weekland knew Paul Marcoux, now 54, and there was a settlement agreement of some type. The Milwaukee Sentinel-Journal, in an article published on its website, said it obtained a copy of the 1998 settlement agreement under which Marcoux had been paid $450,000. Now, what do we think that's all about? Whatever it is, if some priest is doing something that he's willing to pay $450,000 to hush up, that's something bad.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
you think.
Screw the details. Maybe he didn't.
How does a priest with vow of poverty come up with $400,000? God damn. This damn computer decided to restart.
That's a good question, Vic. How does he come up with the $450,000 to pay this guy off? The newspaper
supporting his housing.
That's right. That's our tax dollars. That is our tax dollars at work.
Paying hush money. Yeah.
Rico.
I feel inside.
Yeah. Ricola.
The newspaper said Marceau has said in an interview that Weakland date raped him after two went to dinner and had a lot to drink. That's because back in those days, gamma-hydroxybutyrate, or GBH, was just not available yet, in 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Marceau, he was in his early 30s at the time. Weakland submitted his resignation on April 2. Somehow I kind of think April 1 would have been more appropriate. Seattle priest resigns amid new allegations. See, I told you it was a big week for pedophilia. Seattle, Washington, May 25. A Roman Catholic priest who was monitored by an archdiocese hired parole officer because of sexual abuse allegations resigned Friday after at least another dozen new abuse accusations were made against him. The Reverend John Cornelius, 56, apologized to his accusers, to Seattle Archbishop Alex Burnett, and others. I've tried to be a good priest, but it's obvious I have failed and I have responsibility, said Cornelius in a statement. He previously denied any wrongdoing. What does that tell you about denials of wrongdoing?
He
doesn't get a denial of wrongdoing from somebody who's got a position of authority.
That's right.
Doesn't mean you should believe him.
He failed to be a good priest. He failed to be a good human being.
Good point.
Heck with priest.
In April, Cornelius was put on administrative leave and transferred to a church north of Seattle after two men alleged he improperly touched them when they were students at a Seattle area Catholic school in the 1970s. Since the two men's claims were revealed publicly, at least others have accused Cornelius of molestation, the archdiocese said last week.
It's been going on a while, and it's still going on.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't found out about all of it yet.
Oh, hell no.
Tip of the iceberg has to be.
Oh, no. Like I said, the door is just cracked open.
Well, when it's archbishops who are the guys who caught, right? This whole claim by the Catholic Church that, oh no, it's just some underlings. It's just this fringe of underlings, and it's the fault of the United States for being so sexually promiscuous that few of underlings have been led astray by the children that really wanted their penises played with.
Yes.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
It's right to the top.
Goes right to the top. Last week, we did, or recently, we did this, I can never remember when. I need to keep rest. We did the story of down there of running a prostitution ring that was catering to the sexual needs of from Rome.
Yep. I remember that.
Bullshit! Bullshit! This is just a fringe of low-level priest in the United States, falling prey to American sexuality. Geez. You know what?
This is a pandemic.
If there was a country that had, lax sexual mores, where you would expect to find molestation, if that was going to be the cause, it'd be like France, right?
Yeah. France,
where sex is more tolerated,
right.
Where the prime minister has a mistress, and she shows up at his funeral, and everybody thinks that's fine, right? Now there's a country where you'd think that
anything goes.
Everything, that would be a country where you would think, if it was just a fringe of low-level priests, just, seduced by the sexuality of the country, that's where you start to see all these cases. You see them in the United States, where we are a steaming pile of repressed sexual deviance.
A steaming pile.
You know what I'm saying?
I've always thought of myself as a steam pile.
I'm talking about our culture, right? This is the culture. This is the culture where we have one nude audio program, and suddenly the Catholic Church is accusing us of misleading their priests.
Yeah, I didn't even know they listened to this show.
Okay, well, it wasn't directed exactly. We're Americans,
Well, sexual repression.
We were covered over that broad umbrella accusation.
Sexual repression to the point where the Attorney General spends $8,000 to cover up a statue of a titty.
Grief!
Jeez.
Where we have, Ed Meese back in the day, right? And his big federal program to destroy pornography. Boy, astounding the way pornography has been destroyed in our country, isn't it?
Oh, if anything has gotten more open.
If anything,
Yeah.
and that's good.
Yeah.
And I'll go on record again. The only thing that is wrong with pornography is that we drive it underground so that organized crime gets a hold of it.
Right.
That is what's wrong with pornography, period.
Yeah.
When we're talking about consenting adults. Right? There's stuff you can videotape that I would agree, a crime got committed there, where that thing they're videotaping. That should be taken off the shelves, and the people that made that should be grabbed and thrown in prison for their crime. Right?
There's already
It's
laws against it.
It's not because of the nakedness or the explicit sex. That has nothing to do with it. And we're the ones accused in this country. We're the ones accused of lax sex wars, and it's our fault that this tiny
Few wayward priests.
Yeah. It's our fault.
A few hundred wayward priests.
What, our minds emit atheist rays or something?
In the country,
because
are those archbishops wearing tinfoil?
Are the minority. We're voting for a Muslim for president before they vote for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the Muslim
And
at
it's
least has a religion.
our fault?
Yep.
Good grief.
The Muslim has a religion.
It is time for it's time for religion to be put out of business, starting with the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Go for the Southern Baptist Convention after that.
You know, in France, what they got in France?
What do they got in France?
In addition to their more open sexual attitudes than we have here, you know what else they got? They got a law that says if an organization targets an individual who is vulnerable because of, being distraught, emotionally distraught, or ill, or financially vulnerable, and they target him to try to get him to sign up with their group, that's against the law.
Cool.
That is against
Isn't that what they
the law.
used against Scientology and stuff?
They did. That's where the law came from. You know what? I want that law here.
Yeah,
I want that law in the United States.
The priests are just a bunch of ambulance chasers.
Oh, absolutely.
They make the lawyers look like sweet little old ladies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They get their money and power and prestige
From
by
people
targeting
suffering.
the most vulnerable segment of our population.
Just like a cult does.
That's right.
Just like a pedophile does. Just like any other form of criminal.
To the extent that when just show up on the Alt Atheism news group and they want to tell us their story, it's almost always, I was a horrible person, I led a horrible life, or I had a horrible illness that I was cured from, or I was taking horrible drugs.
Or I was reading too many Chick tracts.
Their life sucked. No. These are people before they became religious.
Right.
Their life sucked, and they were very, very vulnerable, and that's when religion got them. Every time. There was never a conversion story of, I was an atheist, and I was driving along in my car one day just thinking about it, and I thought, oh my gosh, all the atheist arguments are completely wrong. Really? Obviously there's a God, and it's completely clear. I think I'll be a believer now. Never. You never get those stories.
No.
It's always people who have been targeted.
At the end of their rope.
People at the end of their rope, targeted by religion and sucked into the cult.
Right. Of course,
every single time. I want that law.
That proves that only really bad people become religious.
Well, not necessarily bad. You can fall on times and not be bad.
That's right.
You can have a bad day.
There are people on the table. Raise your hand if you've ever been so distraught that if they had come to you at exactly the right time, they could have gotten you into the cult.
No.
No?
Not that.
Shit, I was.
I've been distraught, but
I would never buy into that stuff.
I was not religious.
Not now. Before I had thought through my atheism.
No, even before.
Oh, I suppose when I was a little kid.
I was distraught in college, and I had not thought through my atheism.
Yeah?
But, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I think
guys would come to
it
me
would probably be different if I
stuff.
didn't have parents who were reinforcing atheism for me.
There you go.
See, I didn't have parents who were reinforcing atheism or reinforcing religion. Either way, I pretty much had to decide on my own, and I came to that decision pretty early.
Yeah.
And
All right. Well, I'm the vulnerable one here. I got into my 20s before I. Well,
but if they got me
that it was all a pile of
I wouldn't
crap.
have fallen for religion, but
Yeah.
I probably might have fallen for something pseudoscientific.
Like
Yes,
Scientology.
I would've-
Sure. Well, Scientology.
No,
All right.
Scientology costs more money than
Yeah.
I couldn't have
More
seen
convincing than
Scientologist.
that.
Well, I almost joined
Yeah.
Amway. So.
Anyway, this is
Yeah, something like
this
that.
is a bad, and this is a bad sample, right? Because we're all committed atheists to the point where we have thought deeply about this stuff.
Well, now
and
we are.
And I'm asking us now. So we're a bad sample. Take your 4 people from off the street, right? Chances are all 4 of them are already sucked into religion.
Right.
Already. Lots of people don't get this stuff drilled into you
Want
as a
that
small
law
kid.
here, absolutely.
My vulnerability point would have been had they got me when I was little.
We've been kibitzing about the sound quality for a long time.
Oh, would you guys stop bitching about the sound quality? We do the best we can, and then if there's something going on the internet or at Atheist Network, we got no control over that.
Well, Paul's offering to give us more of it.
Oh, okay.
Great. Thanks, Paul. We'll take it.
We'll argue with that.
And we want to build our studio completely out of donations.
No. I want a tax break.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
performing a public service here in your
That's
house.
right.
Russell, don't you want a tax break on your house?
You should get that.
We're not a freaking religion.
Actually, just some grant fund would be nice. Give us money.
I want that law here in the United States.
I
That
remember-
makes so much sense.
Yes.
The only time that it makes sense to make a decision about stuff like that is when you are calm, relaxed,
Yeah.
and have your wits about you.
Right.
And that is exactly when they don't come after you.
That's when they
Stay
get you in the soup
success.
kitchen.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, well, I was doing a story last week about the lack of history knowledge in this country. And there's a show coming on the History Channel starting Monday called Founding Brothers. Now, I'm hoping this is going to be kind of like the Civil War story that PBS ran. I have my doubts being the History Channel.
What are the odds they're gonna fess up about the religious beliefs of the founding
Oh,
fathers?
I think that's going to be. That's my fear is that they're going to wash right over that and not address it at all, or that they're going to whitewash it and make it sound more pro-religion. But I could be wrong, and they could actually have some real historians working on this, and it come out, being actually what happened, or close as you can get to it. But we'll see. I was watching the History Channel this morning, and they were doing the Amityville House. Oh boy! But there was this one. I think he was a psychic or a parapsychologist. He could have been more. He made a statement that for the believer there is no evidence needed, and for the atheist and the skeptic there is no evidence possible. And I was biting through my lower lip. Oh, I wish I slapped this guy. Of course, there's evidence possible, but it has to be compelling. It has to be, something that you can verify. The Bible says, though, it's not evidence. Or, the people who lived in this house say that they saw a ghost, and yet their story changes every time they tell it. Well, okay, I'm a little skeptical that they actually saw some ghosts. They may have thought they saw something, but did they really?
Right.
But if he said there's no evidence, I think that would be an accurate statement. I mean, he did say it isn't possible.
No, he said there's no evidence. Evidence is possible concerning the atheist and the skeptic.
Because of
Because we're
the
atheists
bias
and
of atheists.
skeptics, we have a bias that we won't accept any evidence whatsoever. So there's nothing you can do to prove it.
That's why we need physical force feedback television so we can slap the crap out of people who make statements like that.
And I just had this exchange with a woman on alt atheism that where she's some kind of some brand of agnostic, where she thinks that it is bad for both theists to assert that there is a God and atheists to assert that there isn't.
Okay.
And that it's worse when atheists do it because they're being mean to religious people.
Right.
She said, well, if you say there is a God, you're just erecting you're erecting a solid position, making a statement that could be blown over with the next gust of wind. And I said, sure. When that gust of wind comes, it will get blown over. What's your point? That is how knowledge works. The only thing that we can say The only sensible things that we can say are things based on what we actually know, right?
Right.
And all this bullshit about, well, maybe you're wrong anyway, so you should be nice to people who say things that don't agree with you, is just a smokescreen. It's just, those people are saying, hey, I got no evidence at all. My beliefs don't fit with what we actually know, but I want you to give me respect anyway, because you could be wrong. No, fuck you. When you can come, your beliefs deserve as much respect as the evidence warrants. At that time, period. And I had a guy write back to me and say, in 200 years, your views might be seen as just as quaint and sympathetic as we view those of Thomas Aquinas right now. I'm cool with that. I am cool with the fact that in future, people will say things that are more accurate than what I'm saying now. Great. I'm glad that they will. That doesn't mean that I should say anything different than what I'm saying at the moment. Because I don't know what it is they're going to discover in future. I don't know that the weight of evidence that, as it appears now, is going to somehow get overturned and accommodate bullshit like ghosts. I don't know that. Why should I? Why should the ghost believer expect to get a shred of sympathy from me?
You can only make claims on what you know. That's the evidence you have currently.
Yes.
It's awful convenient that the family that moved out, their last name was Lutz. The family that moved out of the Amityville house in 28 days after they purchased it, claiming that the horrible spirits would not leave them alone. Mm-hmm. One of the first people they spoke to after they made these audio tapes of their experience was the attorney for, I think his name was DeFeo, which was the kid who slaughtered his entire family about a year prior to the Lutzes moving into that house. And this is where the whole story comes from. He
slaughtered him in that house?
No, he killed his entire family in that house. Yes.
But
it was a completely violent, dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
And this had been brewing for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And one day he snapped, shot his entire family with a 12-gauge shotgun, I think it was. And then about a year later, the house is for sale, dirt cheap. And the Lutz family moves in, and 28 days later, they leave everything behind, and lost all their money and house. But they made a book, which sold a whole lot. I mean, it hit 2 years after The Exorcist, so people were primed and ready for this new ghost story. And so it was a marketing. They made a lot of money. There was a lot of money made.
Lying for dollars,
exactly. Mm-hmm. A lot of money made off of that. Now, whether the Lutz believed they actually saw ghosts or not, I couldn't tell from that program that I watched. But listening to everybody else involved, it was clear that there was some bullshit going on. There were people who were bullshitting other people, and there was money to be made, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. They even got the priest that the Lutz family said they got to bless the house, because this is in the actual movie where the priest went into this room and the voice says, "Get out." Well, he claims he actually heard a voice saying, "Get out," and that something slapped him, except there was nothing there. And,
he's a priest, something should slap him.
Yeah. Well, something did. But they just have an interview from a court appearance that he testified in, and that was all. And the whole story was just full of these cretins who were, parapsychologists, psychics, and one man who was laughing about the whole thing, saying that it's a bullshit story, but they made a lot of money out of it. Good for them.
Maybe the house just had good taste.
Nobody who's lived in there since.
Get out.
The funniest part of that whole story is that families who lived in this house since then, none of them which reported any strange occurrences or voices.
Right.
Their biggest problem is the frigging flock of tourists looking to see the Amityville. And apparently that's been worse than any ghost, because
I saw it.
2 or 3 people. You seen it?
Yeah.
They've actually changed the
I've
windows.
been on Long Island for a while.
They've changed the windows. They've changed the address. The physical address has been altered, so it's harder to find for the tourists. Now, there's a town.
Check it out, right?
Burkittville.
Yeah.
The Blair Witch Project was filmed at.
Yeah.
Contacted the city of Amityville to ask them what to do about all the freaking tourists who were coming to see this place.
That is funny. But here's the thing, right? Whether the evidence, the weight of evidence is that there's just no such thing as souls.
Right.
We know this now, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing about biology or neurology that is a big hole that needs spooky, invisible entities to come in there and live in the biological material in order to make us be alive.
If bacteria doesn't need a soul to live, then we don't need souls to live.
Right.
What the heck is that?
That is the evidence. So it doesn't matter whether these people were just greedy and making shit up because they thought there'd be there'd be a buck in it, or whether they're deluded, or whether somebody hoaxed them. It doesn't matter. None of that matters as far as the question of which point of view deserves the respect. Well, that would be the point of view that has the evidence behind it. Period.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Well, the people's willingness to believe in ghosts. What was a survey said like 60% or something like that in America believes in ghosts.
Sure, why not?
Their willingness to believe in ghosts allows them to accept things like the Blair Witch Project. Now, the Blair Witch Project never made any claim that it was a true story. There was only they advertised it as a true story, but in the things that they were talking about, the filming of it, so it was out in the open that it was actual story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It was just
Right.
people were claiming, no, there is Blair Witch.
Right.
They made the whole fucking thing up.
The audience is in that case. Right.
Yes.
I mean, the story has the structure of this really happened, but there was no campaign to get people to really believe that it was actually true. All right. So, people are freaking retards, and they will lie themselves more often than not, and therefore we'll leave you with our closing music. This is Devo. Turn around, take a good look at yourself, and see what you see. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week.
I don't
Bye-bye.
think I'll be gone.
All right.